My sister was only 34 when she passed, an age filled with potential and promise. Yet the hospital labels her death as merely anxiety. Instead of a future sprinkled with hope, her last moments were fraught with confusion, all stemming from misdiagnoses. I lost not just a sister, but a vibrant part of my life that should be here today. I remember Clara, full of life, laughing loudly during our family barbecue, her hair dancing in the wind as she regaled us with stories of her adventures. The smell of grilled burgers filled the air. Clara, 34, always ensured our family gatherings were perfect. She'd spend hours planning, her joy in arranging weekend get-togethers infectious. She dreamed of traveling to Japan within the next year, immersing herself in its rich culture and cuisine. Caring for others was her defining trait. As the oldest sibling, she held a cherished role, ensuring strong community connections. As a healthcare consultant, I always trusted the system. Our family had only known effective, attentive providers. I believed in the unwavering care of medical professionals. If you're watching this, subscribe and tell me where you're listening from. On March 5, 2023, Clara reported severe headaches. Her vision blurred, a sudden, alarming change. The bustling City General Hospital emergency room felt urgent. Desperate for relief, she anticipated routine diagnosis. She expected help, believing doctors would pinpoint the problem. Clara gripped her temples. The fluorescent lights of City General seemed to intensify her headache, a dull throb turning sharp behind her eyes. Her vision swam again, blurring the distant clock. I caught her arm as she swayed slightly, the antiseptic smell of the ER clinging to us. "Just focus on your breathing," I said, trying to sound calm, but my stomach tightened. This wasn't like her. A general practitioner, Dr. Miller, finally came into the small exam room. He barely made eye contact, scrolling through Clara's chart on a tablet. "So, severe headache, vision changes," he rattled off, his voice rushed. He listened to her heart, checked her reflexes quickly. "Seems like stress," he concluded, nodding. "High-pressure job, right? You're probably just overwhelmed." He dismissed any need for a detailed neurological assessment, a check of brain and nerve function. "But her vision," I interjected, "it's been getting worse. And these headaches aren't typical." Dr. Miller waved a dismissive hand. "Anxiety can manifest physically, it's common." He confidently prescribed an anti-anxiety medication. "Take these. Get some rest. You'll feel better." Clara's shoulders slumped, a mix of relief and confusion crossing her face. We left the ER into the cool March air, the prescription clutched in Clara's hand. Part of me wanted to trust Dr. Miller. He was a doctor, after all. He seemed so sure. But another part, a nagging whisper, questioned the speed, the lack of thoroughness. Clara's steps were still a little unsteady, her eyes still squinting against the late afternoon sun. That night, she took the medication, but the headache persisted, a silent alarm bell I couldn't quite silence. The feeling of unease settled deep within me. Clara took the anti-anxiety medication, but the headache persisted, a dull throb behind her eyes. Her vision blurred, and the next day her movements grew clumsy. Not just difficulty focusing, but her walk became slightly unsteady. We called City General's advice line, desperate for clarity. A tired-sounding nurse on a long shift suggested it was an expected adjustment to the new medication. Could this be something else? "Are you sure it's just the pills?" I asked, politely questioning. She assured me it was routine, advising rest. The next morning, her disorientation worsened. She struggled to remember simple things. Back at the City General ER, a young resident doctor, barely out of medical school, skimmed her chart. He noted her ESI score was level 3, indicating a need for urgent attention. "It's documented, Mr. Thompson. We're prioritizing acute cases. We'll get to her when a slot opens for further evaluation." He was busy, clearly overwhelmed by the constant flow of patients during the holiday weekend. The fluorescent lights felt harsher this time, the air thick with antiseptic. We left again, confusion clouding my mind. 2 days later, Clara's gait was distinctly off. She bumped into walls, her steps wide and uncertain. We insisted on returning. The ER was a madhouse, short-staffed due to the ongoing holiday. For a few fleeting hours, a dull ache seemed to subside, and she managed a weak smile, offering a brief, deceptive calm. Then the jerking movement started in her left arm, subtle but alarming. This is beyond anxiety. We need proper brain imaging, a CT or MRI. This is not normal. I pushed past the admitting nurse, my voice rising, firm and insistent. Dr. Williams, a veteran attending physician, finally addressed me. He barely made eye contact, scrolling on his tablet. "Mr. Thompson, we are following protocol. We have many critical patients." His tone was dismissive, his authority absolute. "We will continue to monitor her." The ESI score remained at level 3, a clear warning ignored. The next morning, the air in Clara's room felt heavy. A dedicated nurse, Sarah, the kindest face we'd seen, pulled me aside. "Her vital signs are stable, but her neurological responses are deteriorating," she whispered, her brow furrowed. She documented Clara's worsening confusion and the subtle changes in her pupils, but her alerts were buried under the relentless pressure of a short-staffed unit caught in the hospital's rigid hierarchy. That morning, the crisis hit. Clara began seizing violently, her body thrashing against the bed rails. Her eyes rolled back. The beeping monitors screamed a frantic, high-pitched alarm. "She's seizing! What the hell is happening? You've got to help her!" I yelled, my voice hoarse, gripping her hand, pleading desperately. A young resident, pale and overwhelmed, scrambled into the room. "Code Blue, stat!" he shouted. They administered anti-seizure medication, but the neurology consult, crucial for her condition, was delayed again, lost in the chaotic shift change. The protocol for immediate brain imaging, clear in my mind now, was completely bypassed. Hours later, the stillness was terrifying. I found Clara utterly unresponsive. Her breathing was shallow, erratic, each gasp a jagged tear in my heart. Her skin felt clammy and cold. "Clara, can you hear me?" No response. They finally decided to transfer her to a trauma center across town, a facility better equipped for severe neurological events. The delay was devastating, the lost hours a gaping wound. The critical observation documented by Nurse Sarah had been missed, communication fractured. The hospital was failing her and time was running out. A guttural gasp escaped Clara. Her body seized violently, thrashing against the bed rails. The beeping monitor screamed a frantic, high-pitched alarm, piercing the thick antiseptic air. "Code Blue, stat!" a young resident shouted. Doctors and nurses, a frantic blur, flooded the room. I stood frozen by her bedside, gripping her clammy hand. Fear and helplessness choked me. They worked desperately, administering anti-seizure medication. The understaffed ER's chaos swallowed every effort. My breathing hitched. I clung to her hand. Hours later, an eerie stillness fell. Clara lay unresponsive, breathing shallow, then erratic. Dr. Williams, grim, approached. He simply shook his head. "We're losing her, Mr. Thompson," he whispered. Despite frantic efforts, Clara's heart failed. At 3:17 p.m. on March 12, 2023, my sister was pronounced dead. The deafening silence was a crushing blow. My knees buckled. The world went dark, fading to an unbearable gray. My trust shattered. This was the moment I transformed forever. Weeks after Clara's death, the silence in our home was crushing. I couldn't just mourn, I had to understand. My calls and persistent emails finally triggered a formal review. In early July 2023, I sat across from Chief Inspector Brenda Ramirez of the State Health Department, the fluorescent lights of her Charlotte, North Carolina office reflecting off a stack of Clara's medical records. Inspector Ramirez methodically laid out a timeline. Each document was a punch to the gut. The Emergency Severity Index, Clara's ESI score, consistently hovered at level 3, indicating urgent need. Yet, crucial actions were never taken. My jaw tightened. On March 6, 2023, at 2 p.m., Clara was severely disoriented. The immediate neurological assessment protocol clearly mandated brain imaging for such signs. The resident doctor, according to notes, attributed it to medication adjustment. No scans were ordered. My sister needed a CT or MRI then, not a shrug. The next day, March 7th at 11 a.m., her persistent headache had worsened. Despite the documented level 3 ESI, the attending physician, Dr. Miller, chose to monitor. There was no neurology consult, no escalation. They were prioritizing other patients while Clara's tumor grew unchecked. I remembered her squinting, the pain in her eyes. Then, on March 8, 2023, at 9 a.m., Clara seized. A seizure should have triggered immediate brain imaging, no questions asked. Instead, anti-seizure medication was administered, but the neurology consult and scans were delayed again, lost in a shift change. That protocol designed to save lives was completely bypassed. My hands clenched into fists, knuckles white. It wasn't just mistakes, it was a systemic failure. Glioblastoma, I learned, is a deadly brain tumor, but prompt care, a simple scan, a timely consult, could increase survival. All the signs I saw, her unsteady walk, her confusion, her seizures, they were screaming for intervention, and the staff knew the protocols. They just didn't follow them. The cold reality hit me. Clara's death was preventable. Grief, heavy and suffocating, now mixed with a burning, white-hot anger. This wasn't just about Clara anymore. I looked at Inspector Ramirez. "This can't happen again," I stated, my voice firm despite the tremor in my chest. "We need change. I'm going to fight for it." I would ensure Clara's story demanded accountability, demanding Clara's rule be implemented. No family should endure this heartache because healthcare dismissed a life. Weeks after Clara's death, the silence in our home was crushing. My persistent calls and emails finally triggered a formal review by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. In early July 2023, I sat across from Chief Inspector Brenda Ramirez, her Charlotte, North Carolina office a sterile backdrop. The fluorescent lights reflected off a stack of Clara's medical records, the air thick with the scent of old paper. Inspector Ramirez led the proceedings. "Mr. Thompson, detail Clara's state on March 6th at 2 p.m., she asked, her gaze steady. I tightened my jaw. She was severely disoriented, struggling to track conversations. I testified, my voice firm. The protocol for immediate neurological assessment required brain imaging then. None was ordered. Her ESI score was level 3, demanding urgent attention, yet the resident attributed it to medication adjustment without scans. My hands gripped the table. Next, Dr. Miller, the initial attending physician, was questioned. He sat stiffly, his attorney beside him. The patient's symptoms aligned with anxiety, he stated, his voice devoid of emotion. It was a busy holiday weekend. We made a clinical judgment. He offered no apology, only professional detachment. The resident doctor, younger and visibly nervous, admitted, I noted her disorientation but feared challenging Dr. Miller. The hierarchy? It was overwhelming. He looked down, regret etched on his face. The hospital's administration initially issued a statement through their PR department, minimizing the incident. City General Hospital is committed to patient safety and adheres to all state and federal guidelines. The spokesperson recited, a practiced hollow deflection. We extend our deepest sympathies to the family. It was boilerplate, a shield against accountability. Then a breakthrough. Nurse Sarah, a dedicated RN from City General, came forward. She provided internal memos and a personal log detailing her concerns about Clara's deteriorating neurological responses. I documented Clara's worsening confusion and pupil changes, she told Inspector Ramirez, her voice quiet but resolute. My alerts were dismissed. I couldn't stand by knowing this documentation existed. Her testimony, backed by detailed notes, starkly contrasted the hospital's narrative, turning the tide. In September 2023, the formal findings were released. Inspector Ramirez's report concluded Clara's death was preventable. It cited multiple protocol violations, specifically regarding the immediate neurological assessment protocol and the unaddressed level 3 ESI scores. Key opportunities for intervention were missed, the report stated, including mandated brain imaging and specialist consults. The findings shook the local community. Social media erupted with cock-war justice for Clara. Local news channels ran segments, demanding answers from City General Hospital. The public pressure became undeniable. Faced with mounting scrutiny, City General issued a new statement. This time, it was less defensive, though still carefully worded. We acknowledge that some aspects of Ms. Thompson's care did not meet our high standards. The hospital CEO read from a teleprompter, his expression somber. We are reviewing our internal protocols and committing to enhanced staff training. It was a partial admission, a crack in their facade, forced by relentless advocacy and public outcry. The fight wasn't over, but the door for Clara's rule had finally opened. The months following the investigation blurred into legislative sessions. Then in January 2024, Clara's rule officially became law across all medical departments in North Carolina. It was a bittersweet victory, her name etched into policy, a constant reminder of the life we lost and the countless others we could now protect. Clara's rule mandated three crucial changes. First, it enforced immediate brain imaging for patients with alarming neurological signs, empowering families to demand these diagnostic protocols during hospital visits. Second, it required every team member to meticulously document observations, ensuring no concerns were missed, and spurring staff to submit detailed patient assessment reports. Finally, an escalation enforcement policy made junior staff responsible for reporting concerning symptoms without fear, promoting clear communication up the chain. This statewide initiative, funded by a $500,000 state grant, began its phased rollout in January 2024 with comprehensive training. Families can now demand a clear outline of care protocols upon hospital admission. Staff are required to submit detailed patient assessment reports and initiate escalations for concerning symptoms, backed by a strict 30-minute response time mandate for follow-up on any complaints, fostering robust accountability. Since its implementation, Clara's rule has prevented stabilization crises in over 150 cases. One success involved a 40-year-old patient in Raleigh suffering severe migraines who received immediate intervention and fully recovered. Despite these vital reforms, cultural barriers within some departments and limitations in addressing every potential gap still require ongoing vigilance. City General Hospital 2 implemented enhanced staff training modules focused on neurological assessment and updated their technology to streamline critical alert systems. Clara's absence still cuts deep, but her legacy now demands that healthcare never dismisses a life, transforming grief into a relentless pursuit of justice and safety for others. It's been over a year now since Clara passed, yet every morning I still feel the hollow space she left behind. As a healthcare consultant, I now channel that gut-wrenching guilt, that crushing regret for not pushing harder, into relentless advocacy. My relationship with the medical system has transformed. I no longer trust blindly, but verify with purpose. She'd be 36 today, probably planning that long-dreamed-of trip to Japan, immersing herself in its rich culture and cuisine. I still hear her loud laugh, see her hair dancing as she told stories at our family barbecues, always making sure everyone felt included and loved. The harsh reality is, glioblastoma diagnoses often face critical delays. Thousands of Americans die annually from preventable medical errors, a statistic that fuels my fight. Clara's early warning signs were vivid and clear: persistent, severe headaches, then a sudden, alarming blurring vision. Later, her walk became distinctly unsteady, and she struggled with simple recall, all symptoms screaming for immediate neurological intervention. Families must document everything you observe using a notebook or your phone. Ask precise, pointed questions, demanding specific protocols. Use phrases like, "I demand a neurological assessment right now," or "This is an urgent neurological concern requiring immediate imaging." Know your patient presentation rights. Push for higher-level consults if symptoms escalate. Don't be afraid to challenge the hierarchy, because your voice is your loved one's strongest shield. Clara's rule has been implemented across North Carolina. This statewide initiative is already preventing stabilization crises in over 150 cases, like the Raleigh patient whose severe migraines received immediate care. While significant, cultural barriers in some hospital departments still require ongoing vigilance to ensure every life is valued. My sister's story proved that healthcare should never dismiss a life based on patterns and perceptions. Your voice is powerful and can change systems. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and share your story in the comments. I often visit the park where we had those family barbecues. I close my eyes and see her there, twirling in the sunlight, her hair dancing in the breeze, that infectious, loud laughter echoing. That's how I choose to remember Clara, vibrant, full of life. Not as a patient struggling in a sterile hospital room, but as the sister who made every gathering perfect, her spirit alive and free.